This week on the net, Facebook facing growing accusations of undermining online privacy. The week's news and the video of the week. Well, this is like an old-fashioned form of Facebook. We have Jean Cocteau's file, nowadays we would call it Jean Cocteau's Facebook page, and we see anarchist, poet, homosexual, living in Paris. If Cocteau was on Facebook today, there would be 100 times more information. The Internet Without Borders president is comparing these files from the French police force's archives to Facebook profiles because he's concerned about Facebook gathering data from millions of users. Internet Without Borders has in fact lodged a complaint against Facebook before the French data protection agency, the CNIL. The social network is once again in the firing line for undermining online privacy.
Le point le plus problématique pour nous est celui du fichage.
The biggest problem is the biometric filing. Facebook never uses this term, but Facebook has licensed a company called Face.com, which provides facial recognition technology. And depending on the photos you post on Facebook and the people you tag, it will be able to automate the tagging process. Facebook also collects users' personal data without their knowledge, so whether you're connected or not, Facebook is systematically tracking your online activity. It's pretty detailed behavioral profiling, and we think if it gets into the wrong hands, it could pose a serious threat to individual freedoms.
Traque votre activité en ligne, un profilage comportemental assez précis et qui nous paraît assez dangereux pour la démocratie. Imaginez que ces informations tombent entre les mains d'une personne demain qui a de mauvaises intentions.
If these observations are confirmed by the CNIL, then Internet Without Borders could take the matter to court. And this is not an isolated incident. Austrian student Max Schrems filed 22 complaints against Facebook in Ireland, home to the social network's European headquarters. He had asked Facebook to provide him with a record of the personal data it holds on him, and he was sent 1,200 pages of information, covering 3 years of social networking.
Normally, companies just hand out the data where they're totally sure it's not a problem. But in the case of Facebook, they actually gave us all the rest as well. Like all the information, like all the deleted stuff, all the stuff they shouldn't have according to their privacy policy. And that was, in that case, I guess their biggest mistake so far, that we now have all this evidence that they're keeping this information that no user ever knew about.
And it's not only in Europe that Facebook is under fire. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission accused Mark Zuckerberg of disrespecting the privacy wishes of users. What was the outcome? Well, the Facebook CEO agreed to independent audits of the company's privacy program for the next 20 years. It's a step in the right direction, but not enough to satisfy privacy advocates. And will the complaints lodged in Europe, meanwhile, amount to anything? According to the Secretary General of the CNIL, it's in the social network giant's best interests to comply with European demands.
Facebook a besoin.
If it wants to continue to grow and prosper, then Facebook needs the trust of its users. Without this, it won't be able to sell its products. So Facebook is going to have to, in one way or another, take our demands into consideration. Not every single last one, there will have to be some compromise. In the United States, Facebook can't operate without the FTC's approval. And over here, it will need to be on good terms with the European regulatory authority, the CNIL. It has already improved some things and will continue to do so to win back users' trust. The Vice President of the European Commission, Viviane Reding, has also decided to take the Facebook matter in hand. She's planning to modernise the current legal framework for protecting personal data, which dates back to 1995 and is considered outdated. The main requests are stricter rules for behavioural advertising and more transparency from Facebook. Egyptians wearing eye patches gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square on Friday to pay tribute to those who have been wounded in the eye during the recent clashes in the Egyptian capital, often victims of the rubber bullets fired by security forces. One police officer accused of firing at protesters' faces turned himself into the authorities on Wednesday. Lieutenant Mahmoud Sobi El-Shanawi was tracked down and identified by protesters after this video was posted online and circulated all over the net. His face has appeared on wanted posters which were distributed across Tahrir Square, and his personal information was released online. And it's not just protesters accusing riot police of deliberately aiming at faces when trying to suppress the unrest. One local NGO says it knows of at least 60 cases of demonstrators suffering wounds to the face, and this in just one Cairo hospital alone. Some have been blinded. 31-year-old dentist Ahmad Harara has become the latest symbol of the struggle for freedom in Egypt. He lost one of his eyes during the revolution that led to the ouster of Hosni Mubarak at the beginning of the year, and on the 19th of November, as he was taking part in recent demonstrations, a rubber bullet penetrated his other eye, leaving him totally blind. Cyber activists are seeking justice, meanwhile, and appear to be going to great lengths to do so. They're currently looking for a second eye hunter policeman who's apparently been boasting of aiming at protesters via social media platforms. If anything happens to me, know that the regime does not fear the prisoners, but those who do not forget them. This is what cyber activist Razan Ghazawi had said to her friends, and the words have been branded across her blog ever since her arrest on Sunday. According to the Syrian Centre for Media and Freedom of Expression, for which she works, the 30-year-old was arrested crossing the Syrian-Jordanian border on her way to Amman, where she was due to attend a conference on media freedom in the Arab world. Fellow activists and web users, fearful she will be submitted to torture, have been quick to rally support via social networks demanding her freedom. She's a prominent blogger who was born in the United States and is one of the few people in Syria posting under their real name. Razan Ghazawi has been highly involved ever since the Syrian uprising began over 8 months ago, and has been particularly outspoken on activists' arrests and the violations of human rights committed by the Bashar al-Assad regime. She recently displayed a photo of filmmaker and cyber activist Firaz Fayyad, who was reportedly arrested at Damascus airport last week, as her Twitter avatar. As requested by the blogger, should she be put in jail, her friends are updating her Twitter thread on a regular basis. She's also asked them to deactivate her Facebook account, most probably to protect her contacts from the authorities. It's suspected the regime tortures cyber activists into giving up their passwords in order to infiltrate their networks. Razan Ghazawi's arrest illustrates all too well the dangers faced by Syrian web users campaigning against the regime. Debbie and Ron Austin are no longer able to pay off their real estate loan. They're on the brink of being evicted from their house in Portland, but in this video they affirm they will not be leaving their home. They're staying put, and they've got the Occupy movement to back them up. On Tuesday, Occupy activists from all over the United States took part in demonstrations against home seizures, making their way to foreclosed properties and houses which have remained vacant since being taken over by financial institutions. In New York, the Occupy Wall Street protesters took over a house in Brooklyn, which had been empty for the past 3 years. As blogger Javier Soriano says, the activists went on to help Alfredo Carrasquillo, his wife, and their 2 children move into this house. This family had been left homeless after the council decided to block housing benefits as part of the city's austerity plan. Carolyn Gage is one of the organisers of the San Francisco movement against home evictions. In this video, she condemns the foreclosures, saying the banks have been bailed out with billions of dollars of taxpayers' money. And people threatened with expulsion have been sharing their stories online and on this site in particular, where they can also ask for Occupy activists' help in protecting their home. The movement is called Occupy Our Home and is set to gain ground across the US in the days to come. In this video, Canadian ski freestyle champion JP Auclair gives us an impressive display of skiing within an urban environment. And as you can see, the extreme sportsman only needs a tiny bit of snow to get around his hometown of Rossland in British Columbia.